So protein's become the buzzword over the last couple of decades, and for all the right reasons, because the human body requires protein in the right amounts for as they're the building blocks of everything in the human body. If you don't have the right protein, your kids can't grow. If you don't have the right protein, your muscles won't grow. But then there's also the overuse of protein, and the protein industry has become like $1 billion industry. So everyone's trying to push a protein on the pretext that you have bigger muscles if you have more protein, you have a leaner body if you have more protein, and most of these things are myths. Yes, obviously, if you're trying to build a great body and a lot of muscle, you need more protein to basically tie in with the kind of workouts that you're doing. The more muscle you break down, the more protein you require. But this whole concept, this whole myth around protein, that the more grams of protein I get, the stronger I'm going to be, the bigger I'm going to be, is absolutely useless, because today almost everyone, most people can afford protein powders. And we know most people who take it, and yet we see a difference in the bodies between people who take the same amount of protein. Because it's not just about how much protein you consume. It's about how well your body can break down protein into amino acids, which does all the magic when it comes to building your muscle, losing weight, rejuvenating your cells, building immunity, taking care of repair and rejuvenation and growth in the human body. So, yep, we can spend a lot of money on buying these fancy proteins, and which is why I always say, the more marketing and the more branding that you put behind a product means the harder it is to sell that product. So you'll never find exclusive brands. You'll never find things which are really good, which don't require endorsements to sell them, really selling. But when you want to sell a product, you got to change the psyche of people's minds. You got to make them believe. So you show an athlete, you show a cricket player, you show a model, you show an actress backing or endorsing that product, because the product by itself is not good enough for people to just buy it. You'll never find someone endorsing an apple or an orange or a banana or something healthy, because we know it's good. People know it's good. But yep, we need to endorse things which need help to be sold to the market. So when we come down to natural protein today, we have something which originates in our own country. I've written blogs about this. I've studied this, because about 4.5 years ago, I was in the city of Calcutta. And I was driving back to the airport, and I noticed this long line of people, okay, who were pushing these massive carts. They had all lined up, and they were like standing under this red umbrella where someone was pouring this yellow liquid into a glass. So I stopped the car, got out, and I wanted to see what this drink was that all these people, really tough-looking guys, were drinking. So I didn't understand the language, but I managed to find someone in the line who could speak a little bit of English, and he explained to me that this was something called sattu, which is made out of chana flour. That's gram flour, which is roasted, made into a powder, and then they mix it with water, and they add a little bit of chili. Some of them add a little bit of mustard. There are different recipes, because it's native to Bihar, it's native to the UP, that's Uttar Pradesh, and it's native to Calcutta as well. People have found their own recipes to make it better. But then I started speaking to the people who consume this. They have it at breakfast, they have it in between their day. These are people who are pushing carts on the road in the hot sun. No protein shakes, no high carb meals, no pre-workout meals, no post-workout meals, nothing. They have a heavy breakfast, and they have this one drink twice in a day, midday and in the evening. And it kept them going. They say it keeps us going. We don't need to eat after that. So I went back, ordered a lot of this sattu, sent it to labs for testing, started studying the nutritional value, because I wanted to be very, very clear about what we're consuming when we make this available to everyone else. And for example, 100 grams of sattu will give you about 26 grams of protein. Now, we can't consume 100 grams at a time, so we break that down into 2 scoops, which is roughly 40 grams, and we get about 10.5 grams of protein. Now, all the skeptics out there would be immediately, okay, 10.5 grams is not enough for me. Well, even your 20 grams isn't enough for you if your body's not breaking it down the right way. Your 20 grams is useless if your gut is not functioning the right way. And for most people, your excess protein that you're taking is useless if you're not even breaking down muscle the right way and having the right amount of recovery. Because you see, it's not just about proteins and amino acids, it's how your muscles use the amino acids, and that happens in your recovery phase. When you sleep, and that's what athletes do, that's what bodybuilders do. They eat, sleep, and train, and that's why they can consume so much of protein, because it gets utilized by their muscles. But today, most people pumping iron in the gym, taking this excessive protein and partying out at night and sleeping for 4 hours. And that's why their bodies don't even look like what it should be with all the protein that they're taking and the amount of workouts that they're doing. So again, we have to use a little bit of common sense when it comes to these things. So sattu, 10.5 grams of protein for like 2 scoops of sattu is actually fantastic protein, because this also comes along with 18 grams of insoluble fiber. So when we're looking at a country like India, which has chronic constipation and acidity, and most people are deficient in fiber, 1 or 2 scoops of sattu in a day, which is inexpensive. You can buy bags and bags of sattu for less than $100. You can pay a little more for organic, and if it's organic, great for us. It may cost you a couple of rupees extra. But sattu contains insoluble fiber, a high amount of fiber which is required for constipation, cleaning our gut, removing dried fecal matter from our colon. So it's basically acting like a natural detoxifier, and instead of, taking all these laxatives, which, makes you pass a stool, but also passes out all of your good bacteria, makes your bowels lose control of their own muscles in the long run, which is why once you've abused laxatives, you really can't get off it for a lifetime. And you think, oh, it's working, I'm pushing out my stool, but you're also pushing out a lot of trace minerals, a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals. That's how it's designed to do, just flush you out, the good and the bad. So, when it comes to constipation and cleaning your gut, sattu is extremely cooling for the gut and the stomach as well, which is why you'll see these people. I don't want to use the term laborers, I'm calling them people. They're normal people like you and me. Okay, they consume this on hot summer days because it's cooling for the system. Now again, the skeptics out there will be, oh Chana, I'll get gas. Let's understand that, you get gas when your body can't break down your food the right way. When you have a weak digestive system, you get gas. So you don't blame the food, you blame your digestive system. But unlike Chana, which will basically cause a lot of gas, when it's in the form of sattu, it in fact removes gas from the system. So it's extremely gentle on your digestive system. For people with diabetes, sattu has a very low glycemic index. And why I like people who have diabetes, or people who are pre-diabetic, or people who are heavily diabetic to get on sattu is because it also has a trace mineral called zinc. Zinc is required in the healing and reversal of your diabetes. Diabetes is just not about your sugar levels, it's just not about your insulin, it's about inflammation in your pancreas, it's about having the right amount of trace minerals in the human body. You have a deficiency of zinc, no amount of medication is going to make your diabetes better. Now sattu has a low GI level, and it has zinc, it's got iron, it's got magnesium, it's got potassium, it's got copper, it's got calcium as well, and potassium. So again, this is a superfood when it comes to us. But again, a precaution, all superfoods could be dangerous for people who have other issues. So someone who has a kidney issue and has to be on a low potassium diet, sattu cannot be the food in your diet because sattu has a lot of potassium. So again, don't blindly follow. You have to adapt according to your condition. But if you don't have a kidney disease and your potassium levels, or you have low potassium levels, which is why in the case of high blood pressure, cholesterol, sattu is a super drink. The soluble and insoluble fiber will help you reduce your cholesterol levels. We see a deficiency of copper and selenium in most people with heart disease. So having this simple drink, which has existed in our countries for the longest time, but we want something that's fancily packed, backed by a WWF wrestler, or an athlete, or an actress, or an actor, gotta start using your common sense. These little things are keeping the locals strong, healthy, and happy. There's no reason why it shouldn't be done for you. So when I started speaking to some of my clients about it, they say, oh, that's a poor man's food. Like, screw what you think about a poor man's food. There's no such thing as a poor man's food. Okay, it is food at the end of the day, and if it's the right food and it's keeping you healthy, then you got to put your ego and your pride aside and consume it. In fact, I say most people with their wealth, sooner or later start eating like farmers and local people, because that's the only thing that can fix them when they've done their whole round of spending their money on conventional treatment, fancy diets, fancy supplements. They do the full cycle and they come back to eating their dal, chawal, vegetables, nuts, seeds, everything that nature's given them. This is a fantastic drink for your parents, for senior citizens, for the elderly, because it gives you a lot of nutrition, a lot of stamina, a lot of energy. It's light on your digestive system. Again, you want to check your potassium levels. This is a fantastic drink for women before their period cycle. Okay, because when you start a period cycle with a heavy flow, people who, young girls, not men, young girls and women who go through PMS and heavy bleeding, The reason they get weaker and the reason they have mood swings is because through that blood they've lost iron and a whole load of trace minerals like copper, magnesium, selenium, all of these things. So when you have sattu, it is teeming with all these trace minerals. So you put it back into your system. And this is great protein for you. Now, a lot of people say, can we make this our post-workout whey protein shake? I got to be honest with you. Okay, it will not work the same as an isolate protein. The only reason is because it's got so much of fiber. So when you've done a really, really intensive workout, you want to have an isolate protein which can be quickly absorbed into your body. Now, this protein is great for you, but because it's got so much of fiber, it's going to be slow release and slow absorption into your body. So you may want to fit sattu at different intervals in your day. You can go up to 4 scoops a day. You can go up to 6 scoops a day. So we're talking about getting 60 to 70 grams of your protein only from sattu. You can have it in the form of a shake. You can make it into rotis and chapatis. People use sattu as a flour to make rotis and chapatis. It's gluten-free. So this is fantastic for people who are vegetarians and, vegans and all of these things. It's great for elderly people because one glass of this gives them a lot of energy. It's excellent for people who are sick, who have lost their appetite. They don't want to eat food. You can have a glass of sattu and it's giving you all of this strength and all of this protein, which is good quality protein for your system. Okay? Children especially. Okay? Try giving this to your children in the morning. It's a great drink. You just blend, you can even mix it with a spoon. Sattu and water. Okay, and you give them that kind of drink, they drink it, they go to school. It's like, I wouldn't say it's completely balanced, but it's a lot of nutrition for them. So you want to get your kids onto this natural protein, you want to get yourselves onto this natural protein. It's fantastic as long as you're aware of your potassium levels. Don't follow this blindly. It is fantastic protein for you. So you got to move away from calculating the amount of protein you consume unless you're an athlete, honestly, and unless you have the right kind of recovery and the right metabolism in your body. What you really need is quality protein. So you get quality protein, you create a body that can assimilate protein into the right amount of amino acids, you have the right gut health that can absorb all of this and transfer it to your cells, and you can use a little protein to get maximum results. That's how the human body works. Because excess protein not used by the body will become fat. And most people are taking more protein than their bodies require. It is very rare to come across maybe a sick patient, maybe a patient going through cancer where their protein levels are low. Other than that, it is very rare to find someone who is deficient in protein. We're made to believe that we're deficient in protein with all the ads that we see, all these big bodies and muscles and all of that stuff. Someone holding a protein shake. I have 5 scoops of protein in a day. So we believe, more protein, more muscle. Doesn't work. A good workout, good recovery, balanced nutrition, micronutrients, all of these things going together will build up your entire body. So get this sattu. You can order it on Amazon. You find it in most shops across the day. It's an Indian superfood. It doesn't even have to be called a superfood. It's just a food. In fact, we shouldn't call it a superfood because some smart entrepreneur will start branding it as a superfood and all of a sudden we'll be paying like thrice the amount for this cheap existing food in our country. It'll just be termed as a superfood and we'll be paying more money for it. So let's not call it a superfood. Let's just call it a traditional Indian food which has existed for years and years. Now we got to get it back into our diet. Have a great weekend, everyone. Until next time, eat smart, move more, sleep right, and breathe deep.